Hello fellow creatures of the internet, this is Mouse and subscribe to Argonian here on YouTube, Bruzo Dragonius. Just recording a video for the first time in 2026. I hope that you all have a very happy new year, or probably late new year and all that kind of stuff. I hope that you had an amazing new year so far, or amazing 2026 so far. I know that I have, but I think it's just about a bit average and all that kind of stuff, but hey, I mean, we're just into Jira and all that kind of... Anyway, I just sort of feel that I need this topic out of my chest and all that kind of stuff. One of the very topics that I'm very, very passionate about, besides being a furry and I know for sure that in the past I made some couple of political videos in the past on certain topics that really matters to me personally, as well as most people like me, and basically about the furry fandom. This topic that I'm very passionate about, and it's basically talked about majoritively by right-wing content creators here on YouTube and all that kind of stuff. But I know that it's really weird of talking about this as a centre-left, and it's been trending more than ever throughout all sorts of media, as we're all speaking, ever since the Bondi Massacre, which I had been talked about in my recent video, and even since before the Bondi Massacre, it's starting to end up on practically being on life support, especially over there in America, where basically it's the First Amendment of the US Constitution. That which am talking about in this video, freedom of speech. Now, the definition of freedom of speech is just basically what it is: a freedom to talk your own mind, say what really matters to you as a person and all that kind of stuff. It's not a matter of what side of the political spectrum that you're on, whether you're on the left side or on the right side. It's all about the right for autonomy as a living thing, or the right to... It's one of your rights, or should be your rights, as a sentient creature. Because if you would think about it, humans as well as furries are all sentient creatures. That's basically what furries are: anthropomorphic animals, or animals with human sentience or characteristics. And from what I sort of believe, that it's sort of under threat. Even though that in America, apparently there is this law in America at the moment where basically if you want to step foot in America as a foreigner for any reason, right, you need to give them access to at least 5 years of every single social media by law before they let you in, welcome you to America. So there's this law saying that if you have posted anything bad against Donald Trump, especially, or MAGA, or ICE, or whatever, then by law, you're not allowed into the United States. I mean, this is by far a law that is set by Donald Trump himself. That's really made as law and passed as a law, because apparently Donald Trump is very much of an insecure SOB at the moment. And that really gets to me, that the First Amendment doesn't really matter to the foreigners of the United States. It only matters to the citizens of the United States. Because, I mean, which really does suck. It really does suck. Because I wanted to go over to America and experience the furry conventions over there. Just go to at least a couple of furry conventions, if money pending or invites pending, right? But there's some instances where basically there's a couple of furries from other countries, foreigner furries, probably from England and all that kind of stuff, or from Canada, so that they got turned away from entering the country just to go to like events such as Anthicon because of presumably of what they posted about Donald Trump. Now the entire furry fandom in itself is left-leaning, and I admit that we are majorly anti-Trump, anti-MAGA, because of the fact being, and anti-ICE, because of the fact being is of what his conduct, what Donald Trump's conduct is as a person, that he's been known as a racist, a transphobe, a homophobe, and a Zionist, and all that kind of, which probably would segue into the next thing that I wanted to talk about, right? Where basically, right, there has been, especially, I know that it had happened a lot in the UK, and it also happened right here in Australia, where apparently that I heard from what I noticed, what Isaac Butterfield has mentioned, that apparently here in Australia it is against the law to post anything against Israel on social media. It's getting to that point ever since the Bondi shooting, since that, and I've been talking about it, where the cops ended up raiding this person's home because he said, because that person is saying absolute mad crap, which, don't get me wrong, it's actual fact, right? But apparently you're not allowed to say it or say anything bad against Israel because it is known to be hate speech, allegedly. It is known to be anti-Semitism. And there's a thing about that, because my definition of anti-Semitism is that you are completely against Jews, it's just basically bigotry towards Jews, right? Or anything that's Semitic or something like that. That's how I brought up. But in some other country, that they legally define anti-Semitism as being against Zionism, being against what Israel's doing over there in Gaza, which I could be in a lot of trouble, right? If I post, if I could post any more crap against Israel, even though that is fact, right? I don't know if I have any warnings, like in the email. I don't know if there's any cops knocking at my door and telling me not to post any match against Israel and their genocide towards the Palestinians in Gaza and West Bank. There's so many sources that could actually happen. And as is, freedom of speech here in Australia, unfortunately, isn't that much recognised in the Australian Constitution as it is for the American Constitution, which is kind of sad, really. And I know for sure that this is what Chris Beans said about the reason why that they wouldn't allow freedom of speech to pass Australia or be recognised in Australia. So according to Chris, means the reason why that we are not a country that recognizes freedom of speech is because of multiculturalism. And that to me is absolute rubbish. Because the fact being is that you can be a multicultural country and still have freedom of speech. For instance, America is also a multicultural country, but their freedom of speech is recognized in their constitution as the First Amendment. You see, freedom of speech should be recognized in every democratic country around the world, right? It is a part of democracy. Whether you live in the United States, whether you live in Canada, whether you live in the UK, even here in Australia, I don't see why that we should have freedom of speech. And yes, there are some that it is disagreeable, right? The thing about it is that there's going to be more, and I know for sure that here in Australia it's really more of a bit of concern to me as well, even though that yes, I did sort of practice my thing of freedom of speech and all that kind of stuff over Aurora when I was doing my set. Even though that yes, I did make a joke referencing the first democratic country and all that kind of stuff, which is intentionally, I meant to mock the people that were whinging about the democratic country. I was trying to be as woke as I possibly can, but it did came out in the wrong. Like people took it the wrong way, which forced me to actually apologise, which I actually did, and I do regret that of the people being angry for me about that, because I don't know how I'm going to start. And I know for sure that ever since the Bondi massacre, that there's certain laws that's going to be against hate preaching. Like, I don't know if you're allowed to weaponize religion for hatred, or quote Bible quotes and all that kind of stuff. Which I do agree with some parts of it, because the fact being is that, well, yes, there is freedom of speech, but sometimes it could be taken the wrong way, which could be deemed as hate speech, right? And this is what the society that we're living here today and all that kind of stuff. And it's very concerning, because the fact being is that, I mean, this goes for both sides of politics. I mean, it could be this stage. I mean, this is the reason why that I don't like to even bring my actual name and address on social media, or my address at all, is because I really don't want to be arrested in my home address and get impeached because I said some really, honest, even though yes, it is very honest. I'm a very honest person, right? I'm very honest. But sometimes it's getting to this stage that being an honest person, and you can be brutally honest, I say things as fact. I am not going to end up I'm not going to dilute the truth for you and be all that thing, right? I'm not going to sugarcoat things, right? There are some things that I could say right now that would get me in. And the Venn diagram of what's deemed as freedom of speech and what is hate speech. Right, if you would think about this scale between freedom of speech and hate speech, this is how it's going to end up like. This scale is full of what is deemed as hate speech and what is deemed as just plain freedom of speech. So it's kind of like in balance, where it used to be like that because, you know, of what's happening like in the past and all that kind of stuff with freedom of creativity. But I prefer to be the scale between the two, to be like that or kind of like that. But it's just starting to be like that. That it's getting to be this way that it's illegal to even say any against Donald Trump or some of the world leaders in whatever country or whatever country. In some countries, it is illegal to post any anti-Zionist posts on social media, especially over there in the US, where basically you can say bad about against the government but you can't say any against Israel, even though that Israel is committing war crimes against the Palestinians. And I've said that in my recent video. It's getting to be this scary thing that if I were to talk about, which is why I didn't want to talk about the genocide of Palestinians by Israel, because I would end up saying some crap that could potentially get me arrested. As is, I've been in trouble as is for saying really, really uneducated but horrible things that I did say in the past that got me into trouble in the past, and yes, I am regretting for that. Okay? But sometimes that your uneducated point sometimes in this world to the other person could be deemed as hate speech, even though that you're uneducated. And this is what the world is going to today, which is really scary but true. So I'm just going to cut from that because quick blabbering on. So anyway, any thoughts on your what are your thoughts on this, on freedom of speech? Are you for freedom of speech? Like, I know that most of you do and all that kind of stuff. But what are your thoughts on this sort of matter that's even affecting you in your own country and all that kind of... Basically, like, even though that saying some things that is just... that's a humane... that's you there for humanity and all that kind of stuff, that could get you arrested in some countries. What are your thoughts on that? Also, if you do like this video so far, make sure you leave a like, as I really do appreciate your support if you do. Speaking of which, if you do like the content so far, make sure you smash the subscribe button so you can be, and smash that bell icon so you can be the first person to know. If you want to follow me on other sort of social media, if you have access to it, also those other things, it's also in the description down below. And especially ways to give me money, as I really do appreciate it if you do. Also, if you want to friend me on PSN or meet me in Tamriel or in all this guys online, my gamer tag is Bruzo21. I did say the subscribe, the like button, and all that kind of stuff, the comments. And thank you so much for listening to my rant about freedom of speech. And as always, this is the most must-see subscriber going here on YouTube, Bruzo Dragonius. Thanking you for watching this and also subscribing to this channel. And as always, until next time, may this guide you all, and bye for now.